you have been having some experiences which are making you question yourself and who you are. Can you tell us about that? What is it? I can see it, I can sense it.
No, see,
I know you are onto something.
when I was very young, when I was like 6 or 7, I was told about God, and I used to wait and I used to cry. I used to wait for the time for the prayer to come, and I literally used to wait. Kab pray ka time kab hoga? I used to wait, and whenever I used to pray, I used to cry a lot. And then with that conception, I grew up, and suddenly in 10th class or sometime, I think in that class, my teacher told me, there's no blue sky up there. It's just darkness up there, And suddenly everything shattered. I said, what? There's no blue sky up there? And suddenly I started questioning. And that questioning kept on going and going and going and going. And then there was a period when I started looking at myself as a product of so many information, so many, influences. I was operating as an automatic being. Like, my parents taught me something, my society taught me something, my fear taught me something, my insecurities working on me, and I am, I'm just a tool. I have been propelled by all those influences.
Forces, yeah.
And suddenly you realize, what are you? What is your freedom?
That scarcity mindset is different from the mindset of abundance.
Hello, I'm Anu Aga.
Yes, Anu.
Yeah, this is a very important thing, what you're saying. And there, because they are experiencing consumerism for such a long time, so is there need to go beyond that?
True,
and they understood the emptiness of,
Of consumerism.
consumerism.
I've lived half
In
my
fact,
life in
not-
India, half my life in the US. So I disagree on that one. I find more people here who are spiritually inclined, who are here than I found in the US.
Here, sir, it's more of a dukandari. It's more of a greed. That if I do this, my future after my death is secured. It's a kind of greed, which is you are
Yes,
driven
yeah.
by that greed. That if I do this, my next janam would be taken care.
I agree with you.
And that's
We are in love with the idea of spiritualism. I think the way things are happening in our country, where is spiritualism?
Exactly.
Killing a person because you suspect he ate beef, is that spiritualism? And some of the people saying, yes, it's the right thing to do. Not allowing a Pakistani cricket or an author to come to India and say it's an enemy territory. Is that spiritualism?
Not really.
So, spending lavishly on weddings, on jewelry, and not bothered about people around.
Anu, that doesn't mean though that there aren't some pockets
of course.
of thinkers and
100%.
philosophers in India.
But spirituality cannot be a monopoly of a country.
I think, we have a responsibility or maybe a need, to make people aware that they are product of so many influences. They have to find their own freedom. The system tries to curb you. The system tries to make you a puppet. Always. The religion, spirituality has been abducted by politicians everywhere, all over the world.
And the religious
And the
leaders.
priesthood.
Religious leaders,
Yeah.
exactly.
The
Religious
priesthood.
leaders and politicians are the same. It's they are working in tandem.
Absolutely.
So the common man, the layman, should be free from all these
Only
garbages and greeds. That how it's a bizarre thing that so many communities and religion exist in this world, and everybody says my religion is best, and they believe that after death they will get a more justified.
They'll get a spot.
How is it possible? And people believe this.
Spirituality for me is a way of life. How do you live? Nothing that I have an up on you just because I'm spiritual. No, it is the way I live, and I'm comfortable, I'm not harming anybody, and I'm impacting the world positively. For me, that's spirituality.
The thing is, sometimes when you say you should keep your attitude positive, it's just a word. Sometimes people get influenced by it, but this is not something people will retain or sustain it. It has to come from an understanding of your own life. Sometimes what happens, we look for formulas. And there, in life, there are so many mix of things, you could be, did I made my life, or it was some
Destiny.
signal? Yeah, it was the destiny and my efforts. It's a combination of so many factors.
True.
You know, and sometimes what happens, we look for formulas. Okay, this is it. This will change it. You know, so this tendency of fast food, you know, which we are getting into, like, you know, let's get the formula, and this is the formula. This will change it. Okay, we have elected a person, and he will change our life. No, it's just so many factors, so many things which brings change. You know, sometimes, you know, we rely on rationality, and some people rely on intuition. They never understand that it's a mix of everything. You know, it's a mix of you know, combination of everything, which gives them a clue that, you know, what really matters. Sometimes, you know, we are audacious enough to understand God, or, you know, understand reality, and I think that's the biggest folly, and we shouldn't try to understand, because you cannot understand.
Yeah, and we don't
it's
know
like,
what
you
we
know,
don't
you're a product of that.
Correct.
As you form a definition, the definition is already changed, because I think consciousness is an ongoing, is evolving all the time.
True.
You know, once you look at it, you know, it's already changed, and, you know, the known and unknown has a similar portion. You know, if you know this much, the unknown is this much. If you know this much, the unknown becomes that much.
True.
So it's constantly changing. You know,
Yeah.
sometimes we have this audacity to understand reality. That's an energy which has created you. You cannot look back at it and understand it.
Yeah.
When you look back, it's gone somewhere else.
And it is unknowable.
Yeah,
It is
unknowable.
Yeah, it
And
is-
you should be easy
Yeah.
with that uncertainty
True.
and unknowable.
True.
And, you know, we have this sense of self being, that we are nothing. I think maybe the consciousness is experiencing itself through us.
True.
I love the three words. Our stay on this earth is short, our roles dispensable, and our impact inconsequential. If you internalize that,